Gemini, June is the month of change. 3 unexpected events are coming. Gemini, do you feel it? That static buzz in the background of your days, the strange clarity in your confusion, the flicker of something enormous just outside your line of sight? What if I told you that June is not just another month on your calendar, it's the cosmic page where your story will be rewritten? There are 3 unexpected events approaching. And no, they're not accidents. They are appointments, sacred intersections pre-written for your soul before you were even born. The kind of moments that fracture your old reality just enough to let a new one break through. You, Gemini, governed by Mercury, the messenger of the gods, were never meant to stand still. You are the bridge between worlds, between logic and intuition, between thought and spirit. That is why the universe always whispers to you first. And this time, it's not whispering, it's roaring. I'm Elizabeth, your guide here on Esoteric Wisdom. If you're new here, welcome to a place where we don't chase answers, we awaken to them. And if you're returning, you already know this isn't just astrology, it's soul work.
So stay.
Like, comment, and subscribe if your intuition says yes. Because June isn't coming to entertain you, it's coming to change you. And by the end of it, you won't just understand what's happening. You'll remember that part of you always knew it was coming. Shall we begin? Chapter 1. The Mirror Cracks. Reconnecting with your true essence. June opens with a strange echo in the air, Gemini. You hear it not with your ears, but with your nervous system. It feels like the beginning of something you once dreamed of, but forgot how to name. The first unexpected event is subtle but seismic, a reconnection with your original frequency, the purest version of who you are beneath all the shape-shifting and survival. For years, maybe lifetimes, you've adapted, translated, negotiated between worlds. As the cosmic communicator of the zodiac, you've become so fluent in everything outside of you that the voice within has learned to speak in silence. But now, something in the universe is refusing to let you ignore yourself anymore. Mercury, your ruling planet, isn't just a symbol of intellect this month. It's the lighthouse pulling you back to shore. After a season of blurred direction, Mercury's transit into your soul sector is like a code being reactivated. You start remembering truths that were never taught, only buried. It may come in a dream, a line from a stranger, or an emotion that doesn't match the moment. Pay attention. These are not distractions. They are breadcrumbs back to your center. Gemini, you are made of stories. And this first event in June is about recovering the one story you stopped telling, the truth of why you came here.
Not to entertain.
Not to be understood by everyone, but to speak the language only you can speak, the one that links galaxies of thought with rivers of feeling. This moment of reconnection will likely begin in solitude, not spectacle. In fact, many Geminis will feel strangely introverted the first week of June, even those who thrive in connection. Don't resist it. You're not losing your spark. You're retreating into the divine forge where your next self is being cast. It will feel like remembering something ancient that's also entirely new. You might wake up from sleep with tears on your face and no memory of why. Or find yourself instinctively letting go of people, beliefs, or habits that once felt essential. This isn't breakdown. This is blueprint. A client of mine, another Gemini, once described it as the moment I realized the version of me I had curated to survive was no longer needed to live. That's what June is offering you now. A return to original essence, not for nostalgia, but for reactivation. Here are signs this reconnection is already in motion. You're increasingly intolerant of superficial connections, even ones you used to enjoy. You're drawn to silence, to music with no lyrics, to books you can't explain but deeply feel. Random memories from childhood or even past lives are resurfacing, not to haunt you, but to be healed and harvested. Gemini, the danger here is to mistake this inward pull for loneliness. But solitude is not your enemy. It's your invitation. The more you listen, the more you'll notice. Synchronicities multiply. Objects misplace themselves. Numbers repeat. People appear with words you were just thinking. This is your higher self whispering. You're getting close. And in that silence, you'll begin to sense the blueprint unfolding. Not all at once, but in phrases, in fragments, like poetry before it's written. It will feel familiar, not because you've been told, but because your soul remembers. So here is your question to live with this week. If you stopped editing yourself for the world, what version of you would finally speak? Chapter 2, The Soul Encounter, When Relationships Become Portals. Gemini, if Chapter 1 was the mirror, Chapter 2 is the reflection looking back, and it's not yours alone. Around the second week of June, the universe orchestrates what can only be described as a soul rendezvous. Whether it's someone entirely new, someone returning from your past, or someone who has always been there but suddenly shifts into high definition, you will recognize them not by their words, but by the way your nervous system reacts. A subtle pause, a rush of déjà vu, the sudden urge to reveal what you've never said out loud. This isn't romance, though it could be. It's recognition. And it comes bearing two gifts, truth and transformation. Mercury, now forming harmonious aspects with Neptune and Chiron, casts a healing light on your seventh house, the house of mirrors, contracts, and soul agreements. This means every connection, every conversation, every chance meeting is now spiritually loaded. Even if brief, it will feel like a secret code passed between lifetimes. This is the second unexpected event of June. Someone appears in your field who acts as a spiritual catalyst, not to complete you, but to awaken the part of you that has been asleep in love, in trust, in divine witnessing. Let's be honest, Gemini. You're brilliant at connection, but intimacy is another realm. You can talk to anyone, but to truly be seen, that's a rarer language. And yet this month, someone does see you. Not just the persona you perform, but the unfinished story beneath. And because of that, you may find yourself experiencing an emotional honesty that feels both terrifying and liberating. I had a Gemini client once tell me, he didn't say anything profound. He just looked at me, and I stopped hiding. That's this moment. That's this encounter. This relationship, whether long-lasting or fleeting, carries with it a soul contract. Its purpose? To help you rewire your beliefs about what connection means. Perhaps you'll realize how often you've chosen mental compatibility over emotional safety, or how often you've played the role of the clever one to avoid vulnerability. This person may mirror your brilliance, your speed, your wit, your hunger for understanding. But they will also challenge your nervous system to slow down, to feel rather than analyze, to listen rather than respond. And in this slowing down, something happens. A recognition not just of who they are, but who you are when you're not performing. Gemini, this could bring intense joy or grief. Joy for finally being met. Grief for realizing how long you've gone without that level of presence. Let both be true. Let both be teachers. Here are signs this chapter has begun. Conversations that feel electric, not because of what's said, but because of what's felt. Old relationships suddenly feel off or outgrown, even if nothing has happened externally. You find yourself saying things you never planned to say, or hearing things you didn't know you needed. You start dreaming of people you haven't thought of in years. Pay attention. Remember, relationships are not rewards or punishments. They're mirrors and messengers. And during this portal in June, one mirror will show you who you've been hiding and who you're ready to become. So ask yourself this. If someone walked into your life and loved the parts you thought were unlovable, would you finally believe they were worthy of love too? Chapter 3, The Quantum Pivot, an opportunity you never saw coming. Gemini, if your relationships are the catalysts of transformation this month, your calling, your work, your craft, your contribution will be the vessel. Around the third or fourth week of June, something shifts in your external world that seems, at first, to be out of the blue. But if you look closely, you'll realize it's the result of every whispered prayer, every half-formed desire, every silent wish you thought the universe didn't hear. This is your third unexpected event of June, a radical pivot in your professional or creative path. Not a small opportunity, not a polite nudge, but a full-on cosmic redirect that merges two parts of you thought could never coexist, your spiritual longing and your worldly ambition. Ruled by Mercury, you've always been a messenger. Your gift isn't just communication, it's synthesis. You translate chaos into clarity, emotion into language, abstract ideas into accessible truth. And during this period, Mercury dances in alignment with Uranus, the Awakener, and Saturn, the Manifesto. This is a rare astrological configuration, and it creates a sacred geometry that turns insight into reality. Fast.
So what does that look like?
For some of you, it may be a job opportunity that requires you to reveal more of your true self than ever before. For others, it could be the birth of a new project that channels your wisdom in a way no one, including you, expected. Or perhaps you finally get noticed for something you've been doing quietly for years. But here's the deeper truth. This opportunity is not just about career. It's about purpose. And Gemini, your purpose has been evolving behind the scenes, waiting for this exact moment to emerge. You might have thought your path had to be either logical or mystical, practical or poetic, secure or free. But now, something is offered that invites you to unify your dualities. You're being asked, what if the both/and was always the answer? Here's what to look out for. Invitations or messages that come on unusual days or from unlikely people. Old ideas you had shelved suddenly become relevant again, with new depth. You find yourself daydreaming not about escape, but about expansion. You feel a growing sense of rightness, even if logistics aren't clear yet. Gemini, this pivot may require a leap of faith. And that's the real initiation. You can't think your way into this one. You'll have to feel the yes in your gut before the path appears on the map. You'll have to trust that the version of you who steps forward into this new phase is wiser, steadier, and more ready than you realize. You may fear being too much or not enough. But let me tell you the truth. You are exactly calibrated for what's about to unfold. So I ask you this, dear Gemini. If life handed you the very thing you stopped hoping for, would you believe you were ready? Or would you hesitate at the edge of your own miracle? Because ready or not, the gate is open. Closing chapter, Gemini, this is your threshold.
So here we are, Gemini,
At the edge of something rare. The end of the maze and the beginning of the bridge. June has not simply brought you 3 unexpected events. It has unraveled a divine architecture. A map drawn in stars, but activated by your trust. You've witnessed a reconnection to your essence, the homecoming to who you really are when the world is silent. You've experienced a shift in your relationships, those sacred mirrors that asked you to love more wisely, to let go more gently, to receive more deeply. And finally, you stood at the door of a professional or spiritual opportunity, a cosmic pivot you never saw coming but somehow always sensed. Gemini, this isn't just change. It's alchemy. You've lived 1,000 lives in your mind. Imagined outcomes, prepared dialogues, constructed defenses. But this month, life asked you to step out of thought and into embodiment. And you said yes. Now you're not who you were. You are softer and stronger. Quieter inside, but louder in presence. You carry the knowing now that you are never at the mercy of chaos. You are the translator of it. You've seen how your own duality is not a flaw to overcome, but a language the universe speaks through you. And so I ask you, as your guide, your friend, your fellow soul traveler, will you dare to live in the truth you've touched this month? Not just in moments of peace, but in the mundane hours. When fear knocks. When old patterns beg for another round. When people look at you like you're too much or too far gone. Because here's the truth, Gemini. You don't go back from this. You can't. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, awakened too clearly. You are becoming the bridge between the seen and unseen, the teacher who learns as they speak, the healer who heals by being fully alive. And that is no small thing. So breathe in this final moment of June. Close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and say to yourself, I remember now. I am ready. I trust the turn. This is Esoteric Wisdom. I'm Elizabeth, and I've been honored to walk beside you on this leg of your soul's journey. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to like this video so the energy continues to ripple through the collective. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. because July brings a new initiation, and trust me, you'll want to be there. And now, I leave you with a question only your soul can answer. If you stopped hiding from your true self, what would become possible?